This is Review Your Gear Radio with your host Chris Husted and Jason Renner. Coming to you with the latest topics, reviews, and techniques for hunting and fishing in the Midwest. And here they are, Chris and Jason. Take it away, boys.
Yo, Review Your Radio. I'm Chris Husted.
Jason Renner.
This is Season 4, Episode 3, the Custom Paint Edition. And yes, that's because we have Dane Heid from DH Custom Baits back.
How's it going, fellas?
Great to have you here, bud.
It's going.
It seems like I think I made an appearance each season. I like the tradition.
Yeah,
It has become
I think
a tradition.
it really has. 3 was really short, but 3 of the 4 seasons, we'll say, I think you made an appearance.
I think so.
Excellent.
I like
Excellent. I like the energy. We started the night with some fresh homemade margaritas to get it into form.
Houston might have the best recipe.
It's really not that difficult.
It's not that difficult.
It's not that.
No.
Yeah, he's figured it out.
Man.
He's got it dialed in.
He made one for me the other night too, and that was back in Mexico.
So guys, let's
Senor.
So what happened in the Missouri River this spring, guys, here in North Dakota? I mean, I know obviously each stretch of the river in between various dams is its own unique ecosystem in itself.
Oh, for sure.
But up here, it was a weird year.
I don't think there was as many teens fish caught this year.
Not even close.
It was getting to that sweet spot when that blizzard hit, though. Like, we had some banner weeks for league and then just on the river fun fishing, but
That blizzard.
After that muddy water came out of that, it was never the same. We still caught big fish, but it was pretty close to the big muddy happening.
I just wonder if they didn't spawn during that blizzard.
Oh,
That's what we figured, yeah.
Headed
Yeah.
for trying to find warmer water.
Yeah, they got, I mean, let's face it, the big fish on the river, I feel, got a free pass this year for the most part.
It's not a bad thing.
No.
It's a little sacrifice we have to make.
Yeah, it happens. But then behind it was just dink central
Oh, God.
to the point where it's just not even that enjoyable.
There's that 12 to 14, 15-inch class right now. And I think a lot of those fish are stuck.
I think so, too.
And I think I honestly say that maybe they need to look at next year or even and maybe having you can keep 7 fish on your
They'll never do it.
15 to
South Dakota did it not too long ago.
Yeah, I know, but they won't do it here. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, just to get some of those stunted fish out of the system.
I don't disagree. I just, traditionally here, our Game and Fish keeps it pretty
hands off.
Yeah.
They do.
They're like anti-Minnesota. Minnesota's got 10,000 lakes, 100,000 regulations.
Yep.
We have 5 and 350 lakes.
It really is it's a simple system, but I don't know, today's age.
Yeah.
I guess the fine-tuned manipulation is probably part of the culture, but
Right. I mean, let's take, which also brings us to the next topic, look at Devil's Lake. I would love to see April shut down for the, Channel A and some of those stretches. I mean, how many big fish go home? Big females,
thousands and thousands of eggs.
Yeah. So, I mean, but then again, it's like, where do you start and where do you stop? Are you gonna, so I can respect the Game and Fish for saying, hey, let's keep it simple. Because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we make fun of the Mille Minute here every week on Review Your Gear. I mean, look at that. It's atrocious.
Yep.
But it does. Let's be honest. It produces nice fish.
No, it does. I'm just saying, if you're from that area and you know the history and all the ups and downs of the
correct
Mille, it's just sometimes you just want to just say, hey, let's
leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep one fish between 21, 23 inches or one over 28, I guess, for the wall. It's like,
could you imagine what this culture out here would do if they slapped that onto a lake?
Oh. They gave you a 2-inch boundary for fish.
You've ever seen Braveheart?
I mean, literally, what if they slapped a like a 17 to 19-inch limit on Devil's Lake for a year. I mean, just
Or
think about that.
what do you mean 17 to 19? Just to keep that?
Just to keep that.
Well, yeah, to be fair, though, that's a really good female egg laying class. I'd love to see Devil's Lake. Again, I'm no biologist, but when you go out there past spring, again, out there, it's just like the river right now. It's dink central. When you're throwing slip bobbers in the summer, you're catching 14s like it's no end.
Oh, yeah.
And that's great if you like catching a lot of fish. It just gets a little redundant.
Good for a guide,
Right. Right.
you know.
Yep.
Don't know any of those guys.
No. So this is a topic I've been wanting to tackle. We wanted to tackle it last week, but we got a little winded.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it happens. Do you feel technology is getting too far for tournaments now, or at what point is enough enough? I mean, I don't say enough. That's maybe not the right way to put it, but at what point do you say maybe we should look at keeping it fair for the level playing field?
Well, next year when Garmin comes out with the ability to, pinpoint the actual species of fish you're going for, because that'll happen, I'm sure, with Garmin. They're always kind of ahead.
Yeah.
Then it might be too much, but it's nuts where it's come from. When just our generation growing up, my dad had a flasher, and I thought we were, king of the castle at that point.
I still remember when we got the LCR for ID. It was the hummingbird, and the fish would show up as red dots.
Yes. Yep. Big paper graph.
Yeah, paper graph.
Wow.
I
Those
still
guys swore by that paper graph.
the paper graph for me as a salmon fisherman, as far as finding a thermocline, I still think as far as temperature change, those were still accurate than any digital graph.
Isn't that crazy?
Today. Just because the thermocline was so distinct on those things.
What the heck?
It was pretty incredible. Guys just ran those things specifically for example.
But sure.
And you go through that from that point, and then you go to where we are now, which isn't that many years, I hope anyway, 25, 30 years, I guess. And now we have handheld underwater sonar, instant sonar, with a constant feedback. and we're picking off fish left and right, jig wraps or this year, even in the muddy, we caught 2 fish that we wouldn't have caught otherwise without those. We knew exactly where they were. We saw the ripple in the water and just kind of linked 2 and 2 together there and tossed the chub in front of them. Bang. We got 2 of the 3 fish that were sitting under that little riffle.
Yeah.
Well, let's side scan. I mean, how many? I pre-fished the big money with you. How many spots did we just
Slow down,
and slow down, mark fish, and when that we would have normally went, stopped and fished.
Fished, right?
Because there's gotta be fish. There's gotta be
This
fish
looks too fishy.
here. Yeah, and there was nothing there.
Yep.
I mean,
And now you drive around and you're like, nope, nothing here. On to the next hole. I mean, the efficiency is stupid.
That's the nicest of it.
And, I mentioned this in a previous podcast, so I apologize for repeating, but I've been in tournaments just last year where, guys are running 2 pen optics on their boat. And I'm sorry, but if you're just average Joe fisherman with down imaging going,
I know
you're outgunned.
Yep.
Straight up in a tournament.
Because they're efficient, and that's where probably it lands more so true in the tournament world, is because efficiency is kind of key there. You try to have the fastest boat. You try to have the best electronics.
It comes back to what we talked about last week also. Big fish are usually not with the numbers.
Nope.
So if you can isolate the big fish, whether it's with your electronics, before that, find out, hey, that's where these big fish are. I mean, how many videos did Keith Kavitz put out there about slowing down and graphing the right fish with their Lowrances, with structure scan and all that jazz before anybody really even talked about it?
Nope, exactly.
And those guys, let's be honest, there's 6 or 7 guys that fish that tour that you put them on any lake, and they're all kind of part of that next bite crew, whether it's the past or present. those guys all have broke down water. They're the best at it.
Yep.
And it's about efficiency.
Yeah.
Finding those big tournament fish because, like we said last week, most number spots do not hold tournament.
And that same group of people you just talked about, they're also the ones fishing from before the sun is up to well after the sun is down.
Yeah.
So not only do they have like the best attention to detail on the technical side of fishing, but then the actual tenacity to go out there and fish all day long. Literally. It's tough to pre-fish and do it for a week all day.
Oh,
So let me ask you guys something though too. Now for pre-fishing, if you come into a spot and you're marking big fish on sight imaging, put down active, whatever, pin optics, whatever, and you're seeing him plain as day, do you even fish them or do you just leave?
Ooh,
I think you find out what they'll go on.
you probably should get one bite.
Mm-hmm.
Just a taste,
Just one.
just a taste.
Then you have to let
And
that
even if
go.
you shake it off, because there has been studies proven that those fish will bite again if they stay close. If you shake it off. Wow, I kind of went.
Little Taylor
We,
Swift.
we all just kind of stopped, and kind of thought about it, like yeah,
I've done it before.
but yeah, for sure. Technology, it's imagine what's going to be in like 5-10
and
years.
that's exactly what I keep thinking of. Is it
Well-
rapidly elevated to this level?
Right.
I coached a gal on my hockey team this year, and her dad is an ex-Navy sub operations guy.
So he knows electronics.
He knows the
He's a nuke.
electronics, but what he's talking about is when he was in what she's been retired now for 5-6 years, is what Garmin's technology is now. So if you put that into thinking, okay, this is Garmin. The whole Panoptic system was developed for subs to see what's ahead of them.
Right.
So if this is old technology to
What do they
our
have?
military,
What do they have already?
What do they have already, and what's not declassified yet?
And how bad do you want it on your boat?
Just that just puts in perspective of what's coming down the pipe.
But then we have the hydro wave too. I don't know if that was an offshoot of what evolution is taking in fishing, but it's still hanging around. It's still sponsored NWT boat. It's not popular around here. I don't think I've ever seen anybody with one around here.
That triggers the feeding fish.
Well, it's supposed to
call.
be the sound of feeding
Yeah.
shad or whatever.
I don't know about that, and that's just,
It's kind of where I was going with it too, but
Yeah. goes back to the color selector.
And, well, maybe that's an offshore deal too.
Okay.
I mean, you catch one fish, pretty soon you start bringing in sharks and stuff, and
Yeah.
Well, perch, though, I'm going to be honest. When we're winter fishing for perch, is if you catch one and you pull the school up and you can keep them busy,
right.
it just you can keep as long as that school stays underneath and you keep fired.
How many times has it slowed down and then you start the auger again when there was still gas at that point? Drill another hole and pretty soon they turned on again.
Yeah,
Little agitation. And
Yeah.
pushed them one way or the other, maybe. And
Well, I know, like down at Pier and then like on the Fox River, at times, like Pier by the dam, the salmon fishermen guys will pull up their big motor, agitate the top like they're sucking water
What
down
the
below. And then on the Fox River, I've heard that guys do that when the Lowhead Dam is running by Green Bay. That when the dam shuts down, the walleyes kind of shut down, where the guys will trim up their motors and turn it on and make that agitation in there, and it turns the fish back.
isn't that nuts?
So they're kind of just used to that water moving or that sound or something like that.
Well, if the water's moving, bait's moving through too, I'm sure. So
correct.
Yeah,
Right.
like
It's all
tail
about
race.
food. It's all about food.
They
Dinner
start-
bells ringing.
Start that. They stop the release of the tail race middle of the night.
Yeah.
Just go home.
Yeah.
If there's no birds in the tail race,
Correct.
don't even
Yep.
don't even go.
Just go to the lake.
Yeah. Don't even stop.
Stop at Little's.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which 2 weeks?
I heard.
2 weeks?
Well, I'm fishing the Little's tail race tournament next weekend.
So
Or this coming week.
that's gonna not be open to the public.
Gotcha.
They're only gonna have it open for the tournament official. And I think that's kind of the break-in night, the soft opening.
Yeah.
Um, one of the managers is my father-in-law's neighbor.
Oh, okay.
So he brought us some pretty mean smoked baked beans at 11:30 on Saturday night.
Nice.
By the way, Gusto, excellent. If you're listening, those are
Baked beans at 11 at night.
11:30. Oh yeah,
11:30 at night.
by the fire.
I'm sure you were just musical all night long in bed. So holy cow, there are a lot of custom painters now.
It's every day.
On my Facebook feed, I literally am overrun with so many custom painted bandits and whatever. They're just like, it's just everywhere.
It's nuts. I mean, I felt like I was behind the eight ball when I got started because there was a couple of big ones around, and that was 8-9 years ago now. And now there's 4 in Bismarck,
Right.
which that never happened. There's just
And I probably know of 4 in the garages that don't only paint themselves.
oh, absolutely. There's a ton of those guys, and that's what I find is awesome. Is it doesn't bother me. Everyone should have an airbrush and try it out and try to get better at something. Some people don't have the patience for it or lose interest in it.
I raise my hand.
This comes back to the guys that used to have. I mean, they were stealing their wives' nail polish and
Oh, I still know a guy that fishes tournaments in North Dakota that has a tray of nail polish
that
in his
just
boat.
or a lot of the bass guys, when a color from the factory was too bright, they'd always ride with them to their tournaments, hung up on their dash in their rearview mirror, to fade them out. But to just give them that change of color or that difference. But I mean, that's the biggest thing with customizing is it's just something different.
Well, it's so cool to see some of you can it's like a signature almost. Their paint jobs. They're so accustomed to one style, and me included. I mean, I'm in that type A straight lines. Make that circle a circle, not a dot. In the other direction where it's so right-sided brain where it's just there's no clear pattern to it. But it looks good.
Yeah.
How can a fish not want to bite that? So it's fun to see these people's different personalities come out in their lures because there's some awesome painters out there.
And it's got to be flattering to some of the guys like yourself when the big boys come out and almost like, oh, hey, that's a tweak I want to mind.
Right.
That's a tweak I want to mind. I mean, flattery is, sometimes the best recipe for,
it is
making yourself feel good. But I mean,
it can be frustrating.
Oh yeah.
When before it was just guys painting for themselves, that they ask you a billion questions on what compressor to have, what airbrush to use, what clear coat, and then pretty soon, it's a business, and they're painting for my colors that I did for them.
Yeah,
that's the frustrating part. Other than that, I mean, if you want to keep things civil the way it is, that's what it's all about. This isn't a job to me,
I just joined the lure painting and making Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
And it's been kind of interesting to watch that flow.
Well,
and just to see what those guys do. And
there's some of that. There's so many talented people. I mean, just straight up artists out there, not even just custom bait painters, but they are legitimate artists. It's fun to see that direction with those online groups and stuff like that. I tend to shy away from following too many pages so I don't influence myself. And there's a couple of guys out there though that when they come out with something new, it's like, yep, I gotta have that. And rather than make them guys busy, I do it for myself. But I keep that to myself too. They're in my trades, not on my Instagram. That's the big thing.
So in that, you have some patterns and stuff like that. What's the most difficult pattern
to do?
Oh
man, that one that hasn't been made yet. Coming up with the idea and then actually laying it down and going through 3 or 4 different iterations of it. That's always the hardest one. I mean, and I know what you're asking, but I guess literal answer in that one is anything that's just a lot of detail.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many layers of paint. I mean, you look at if you want to go from base coat on up, there's sometimes 20, 30 different layers of it might just be a couple dots in this area, but it was still a change of paint, and then putting it down on the lure itself, and then doing that 30, 40 times because there's multiples of that color. That's the fun one.
The tedious, what amazes me is the patience, because I feel like me and Chris probably have the same kind of personality where
We don't have any.
I don't think we have the patience to do what you do, and that's what's truly amazing about what you do. But what I like about you is you can take my goofiness of what I'm thinking. Hey, I want you to paint this, this, and this, and you find a way to put that to
I
a
appreciate that.
down. And I mean, you've came up with, and that's why I always said it's just, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? But it's kind of like a bartender or sushi chef. Painter's choice, chef's choice.
Right.
Let the guy that's got the stroke of the brush do the work, and
That's pretty much how I am. I'm like, I just drop them off. I'm like, you know what I need.
Zero direction from either of you usually.
Yeah.
Which is super fun all the time.
Whatever you get. We're not going to complain.
You don't have to have a favorite. You don't have to be on a side or this side.
It's not about sides.
They make some awesome patterns.
There's some great thing, but I don't know. And it's not saying that those guys aren't good, or I still think you're one of the better ones out there. But I grew up, and we're selling my mom's house, and I have a realtor friend that we didn't hire that I'm a little upset about. But my brother made the call. It was easier for him. Understand that. He's the legal side. Understand that. But for me, it's always about who I trust, and and that's who I support. I know my insurance guy.
Shop small, shop local.
It's just it.
I mean, one, I trust you because you could crack my neck and kill me at any time.
We try to avoid that particular profession.
But also the fact that you're always upfront with me. You're like this, or like this. I mean, I like a guy who, well, everybody knows Renner is a horse trainer. Oh, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. You do this for me. That I like that.
Nope, I'm good with horse trading.
Yeah.
That's why this world was born.
Oh, yeah. Me and Hughes just did some horse trading in the shop. So.
Right? We're going to take a break. We'll be back here on Revere Gear Radio. And we're back here on Revere Gear Radio. So, there are so many crankbait options nowadays. Every time I go to a big box store, not only did each manufacturer that traditionally came out with a new lure and 20 colors to go with it, but then there's all these new stuff and these new crankbaits coming out. You showed me those ones the other night, the Spros?
Yep.
You kidding me? I want those now. It's like, where do you stop?
This addiction it's awful.
It's a problem.
Well, then just keep getting bigger boats with more storage. My cabinets in the garage can't handle it anymore.
So I'm gonna ask you guys. You guys are crankbait fiends. What do you think is like the new like Bandit? What's the new hot? Do you think is going to be revolutionary this summer?
We'll make Skakawea.
Yeah,
the basis of it,
like Skakawea.
We talked about it again.
Every episode.
We used to joke every episode we talk about. Anyways, go on.
It's a good lake.
It is.
But it's up there too. I mean, like there was a year that reef runners were just unreal, and the next year jigging rafts really took off. It lasted for a few years, but it seems like they get used to that beta. They've seen it bounce in front of their face 1,000 times.
Well,
And-
now
and
we
I
have the 68-inch smelt up there.
Right.
Mhm.
That's prevalent.
Well, then I'm going Flickerman.
Size 14 husky
Over.
jerks.
Little Reaper from Walleye Nations.
Yeah.
Ooh, that could be a dirty one this year.
Like I said, I picked up size 14 husky jerks. They're like 6 inches.
Those are awesome. They're
Yeah.
huge.
They're huge.
Nuts.
Same
It's like a
thing.
Saltwater lure.
Darn near. Hey, like I was saying to Renner when I was cleaning out the shop, I have, what are they, size 15 X-Wrap grapple. I mean, they're huge.
Yep.
And we troll those for muskies on Mille Lacs. And if we don't catch 3 to 4 to 5
Unreal.
big walleyes on those things every day. Every day.
It's
Well-
what you don't think either, you know?
Those Oahe, those big fish that are down in Oahe, they're teeing off on those 12, 13-inch lake herring.
Right.
That's how they're getting that big.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and just, you know,
And all that goes back to pulling lead core with buzz baits or spinner baits.
oh yeah.
Sure.
Way back in the day. Because that's where those herring exist, is deep. And they're having to pull their fish out of there too. NWT and Mobridge last year.
Yeah.
There was guys cutting off the front treble of the bottom hook, so that it was just the two going up the sides of the crankbait, so it would skip over the trees.
That's a new trick.
Right? I mean, they're still buzzing the trees and I'm sure it's herring they're looking for.
Yeah.
But Francis' case is you got to use a flicker shad. Leave your flicker minnows at home. There's no bait that resembles it.
No.
Yep.
Because that's
So
like gizzard shad territory.
I would
down
think
there.
so.
the question was, where do you start? And I think you just hit it. It's all about the forage. And
Oh, for
so
sure.
you know right away, like when I go to Sakakawea, I really don't bring shad wraps. I don't bring hornets. I don't bring a lot of the small stuff, for example.
Right.
It's
Not
thin.
saying they don't have a time and place.
I think it's more place than time with those baits. I think you're pulling those smaller baits shallower.
exactly
those fish
for
are
the young
usually-
of the year.
Those fish are used to chasing
Young of
frogs,
the year.
young
And,
of
right.
the year.
Yep.
So I think it's just place, not even necessarily time. But if you're out pulling Maine Lake points, well, that's a schmelt hunter you're looking after.
Yeah.
Right,
So you can pull something that looks like a schmelt.
It's the classic. Is there two populations of fish?
Oh, I think
in
there's
that?
3.
Okay. Yeah. Shallow,
Deep.
weed fish, the deep fish,
Yep.
and then
Those that travel.
okay,
They'll shift up, they'll shift down.
chase. But
So-
my big question is this year with the low water, with the cold water structure, and a lot of these reservoirs, not just Skakawea, I'm talking up and down
all
the
of
way. Does that concentrate the forage, hence concentrate the fish?
I think whatever forage is left probably concentrates it.
Because I'm just prime example. We were side scanning in the back of Douglas and huge concentrations of bait.
Yeah. I think Douglas is kind of its own ecosystem too.
It's big enough. It's bigger than some lakes we fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
It's its own ecosystem.
Even when the NWT was here years back, even though everyone was running 100, 110 miles,
Oh, yeah.
though there was a few that stuck in Douglas for the 5-6 bites a day.
Yep. Yep. He was in second. I think he ended up in third.
John Vadova?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was even that last NWT out of Garrison. He was in second or third after the first day as well.
Nice.
So, and he's got a little boat yet. So
Don't matter.
nope.
Don't
He's in
matter.
Douglas though. Like, and that's just the beauty.
Well, he
of
has a place in Douglas.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows like every rock, every nook, every.
And that's just it. People that fish Douglas like it's just their lake that they fish.
Correct.
It's not Skakawea. It's just Douglas.
It's just Douglas.
They've never left the bounds of it.
I'm not gonna lie. I've caught a lot of fishing.
Oh man,
I
love
think
that
everyone's had a few days
Yeah.
in Douglas
Yep.
for sure, if you've been on that lake. But let's have some tales from the Chub Tank.
Tales from the Chub Tank.
Boys, the rain. It is raining and raining some more all over the upper Midwest.
I love it.
It's going to be, I think that this is going to be one of the better chub seasons for that reason. It seems like with the drought, like the last 2 years, chubbing
tough.
was tough.
Yep.
I think it's different this year.
I think it brings a lot of those fish out of those bigger creeks that you don't have access to. Them.
Up those little tributaries.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I really think they go up there not just to spawn, but I think for food.
Oh,
Like,
sure. Bugs
you know,
and everything up there.
I have you ever gone chubbing in a cow pasture in the middle of the summer and when
When
the
it's raining,
grass
yeah.
or even when the grasshoppers are out
Yep.
and the second one jumps in front of you and lands in the water, it's dead because a chub comes up and smacks it almost instantly. And
I wonder if anybody's ever tried to fly fish for those buggers.
Well, I'm sure you could.
did you say buggers?
Buggers.
Oh, I thought you said the F word. I was like, did
No,
you
no,
really
no.
just give us
No.
X-rated
I've been worried about that
again?
the whole night. Back to back.
Oh, that's funny. So what's your guys' go-to fishing line nowadays? Again, only one line.
Nanofilm.
Okay?
Good one. I'm still Power Pro.
And I guess I like my Fireline Crystal. Although for trolling, I'm Power Pro.
Yep, I knew you were Power Pro. I use Power Pro Super Slick for all my casting rods with a 10 or 15, depending what I'm doing, fluoro leader.
Yep.
And then my trolling rods are all 15-pound Power Pro.
Nice.
So I'm still Power Pro fan, except for, of course, mono for salmon fishing. I'm still a mono guy. A lot of guys use braid, but I'm still a mono guy. But I love that nanofilm. I love the
casting?
sensitivity. I love
Yep.
the casting on it. I've hooked a few people on it. But it's all right.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff isn't getting cheaper either.
No. Not what is.
Well, exactly.
Hey, a dozen of donuts that the local donut shop is $17.
For just the regular donuts. That's not even including the foo-foo donuts.
No, that's not including the foo-foo donuts. So that just put that in perspective.
Donut prices are too dang high.
Food.
Food and booze.
Well,
I like talking about booze yet.
in the beginning we talked margaritas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. Let's have some
margarita.
Let's have some headlines. Connecticut is having shoreline issues with fishing line and trash. I just always hate that. The only point of the article is just a reminder. I know a lot of people are guilty of it, but don't throw your fishing line out of the boat.
Nope.
If you have a snag, clip, whatever, just throw it wherever you're throwing your beer cans or your trash, food trash or whatever.
Plastic Folgers can with 2 slits
Yeah.
perpendicular to each other. Shove line down. I have one in my side compartment for it.
Okay.
For a line that tears.
Yeah. It just doesn't belong in the water. I think guys just don't realize. Plus, can you imagine driving across the lake and having a big string of line go in your motor or your prop? It'd be like, painful.
How many seals that have been busted by braid?
Oh, man.
So, yeah, we'll keep it brief on that one.
All of them?
There is a Snakehead Tournament going on in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Snakeheads are the invasive.
Yes.
Correct.
And then there's bowfin or whatever. Right?
Correct. From sunrise to sunset on June 25th, they're going to have a tournament. Hey, you okay, Lily? My dog's got a hairball. And essentially, it's weird because it's only the first 10 people. This is a different tournament. First 10 people that show get to participate, and then it's full. So I don't know if there's a line or how that works, but hey, whatever it takes. They just found it in a new lake there, and what better way to get them out, I guess, than just...
Is there a limit to how many fish you can catch?
I don't think they said anything
Is
about...
it a state-funded deal?
Yeah. No, it's local. It's a township. Ufreda Township supervised the meeting. Anyways, it's not a state thing, but hey, it's not like there's a shortage of those things.
No. And I heard they're tasty.
So did I. Well, what was it on? That Meat Eater? They did that little fish series?
Yeah, Meat Eater, and
It was that crew.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain's ate them before. I think Zimmerman's ate them. I think all the food guys.
Zimmerman's ate everything.
Yeah.
Gross.
And lastly, a Maine couple is suing the state of Maine for the right to hunt on Sundays. So, remember, we've had a lot of weird laws here in North Dakota about Sundays that have, over. I mean, look at here in Bismarck and alcohol.
Yeah.
Remember, it wasn't that long ago you couldn't
Nope.
buy alcohol on a Sunday here. The Sunday hunting ban has been in the books in Maine since 1883.
Well, doesn't South Dakota have Sunday pheasant hunting? You can't hunt it before noon? Or they finally overturned that?
I can't keep. I've never hunted in South Dakota in so long.
But I swore they had that rule that you could not hunt pheasants until after noon on Sundays.
I've heard that.
It'd be interesting to see where that goes,
I'll
though.
call my buddy.
Yeah, they should. I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight, but hey, open it up. I mean, if you have 2 days during the week you can hunt, and one of them you can't because of some 130-year-old law, 40-year-old law,
It seems a little antiquated.
yeah.
So most Catholics go on Saturday.
I'm Methodist. They actually switched church to Wednesday for the summer.
Oh, nice.
In my hometown.
Nice.
Nice. So small lakes are starting to fire up. I know around here, and I should pretty much assume everywhere, considering, it's getting closer to summer.
Yep.
Water's warming up. Fish are starting to go.
Well, as a kid, reading In Fisherman magazine, they always had that this time in this first couple weeks of June, no matter the body of water, was always one of the best because post spawn for everything.
Yep.
As the best feeding window for catching fish. And well, we're coming up on that.
We're there.
We're there. And I religiously read that magazine as a kid, and I think
It still sits in the back of my toilet.
I was just gonna say, I always left mine right by the toilet.
Now I get it digitally. It's on my phone. But I mean, hit those smaller lakes. I mean, sometimes some of those smaller lakes are underutilized. I mean, you fished a lot of small lakes in Minnesota.
Put it this way, I miss having my little 16-foot Lund tiller that I started out with. With a roller trailer, I mean, you went anywhere you wanted to go in a ditch if you needed to. And
I'm just
you were
waiting
good to
for
go.
one of us idiots to bite the bullet and get a kayak.
No.
Exercise.
That seems like a lot of work.
My shoulders hurt already.
Have you seen the ones with the built-in Minn Kotas now in the middle? I mean, I kind of
For those prices, you can get a 16-foot Lund with a roller.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, not close anymore after the great boat catastrophe of 2021 to 22.
Oh. Speaking of which,
That's a topic for another day, I guess.
Yeah, we'll keep that topic for the appropriate time. So Winni's heating up. Finally got out there 2 days ago.
Saturday, right?
Yep.
You ditched me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you were with the folks.
You were good.
So
You were good.
I didn't want to wreck your party with the folks, but yeah, we got nothing great, but we got 6, and biggest is 28, all released. So it was a good time.
That's a good day.
Yeah, it wasn't.
These are 25.
First time out there. What's that?
25 to 28 were all 6.
No, we had a few run 20.
Oh, okay.
Few run 20.
well, that's good to see though.
There's all classes present there.
It's crazy. The last year, the only time I've been there, and it was just like we had 12 fish that day. We had trouble keeping a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too big.
They're too big.
Yeah. What a problem.
But the amount of forage in that lake is just ridiculous.
It is. There was a few boats there from Minnesota.
That's disheartening.
They travel a long ways to that lake.
That's disheartening.
It
I
is.
have anything against you Minnesota guys. We have so few gems left with
We
modern technology.
we only have 300 and some lakes, right?
Right.
In North Dakota. So it's, when when your secrets get publicized, it's a tough one
if
to
you're
swallow.
big fish hunting, why don't you go to Mille Lacs?
Yeah.
I guess
Or Lake of the
season
Woods.
wise.
Even Lake
Lake
of
of
the
the
Woods
Woods,
is
too.
dangerous.
You want to know
But-
why? Because there was only 4 other trailers at the landing.
I know.
I get it.
I get
We all get it. You get it. So, Joe, if you're listening, we're going to do another JT Rod Snare Rod review because I want one bad.
If you don't have an ice fishing walleye snare or panfish snare, you're not ice fishing, really. They're the best. I'm not even a big fan of ice fishing, but I will always have a snare rod down.
It's got to be in everybody's arsenal. It's like that's the new Vexel.
Well, but and then they come out with a snare for their open water rod.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know.
9 feet 2 inches of pure gold, baby.
I got 2 of them.
You do.
I do.
You like them for chubs?
Love them. And then I have a low profile line counter.
Yeah.
It's
so
awesome.
you use line counter.
So I bought them the very first year they came out. And they only had a bait feeder.
Okay.
Option.
Yep.
Now they have the spinning wheel option, which you can buy the little Kuma.
Yeah, Kuma's got the
makes the 2-speed. And I have the kind of the old one that they're hefty, husky, if you will, for a reel. The new ones are as bad, but I like the sensitivity of my other one, the previous one, the ABF or whatever it is, the silver and gold.
Classic.
But you put it in a rod holder. You don't got to pitch it all day long.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It could be a pen size 3000.
But it gets it away from the bull. I mean, that's just like with my big 8'6" Loomis.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then I have 2 other 6-foot kind of Gumby rods that'll go out the back, and then 2 snares up the side.
I'm jealous. I want a snare rod.
I'll let you borrow it.
I want to try it.
You will.
Okay.
You'll like it.
I mean, they're only $330 retail.
Well, when
it's not like you
trade chickens, it works out for.
Speaking of horse,
Joe, if you listen,
guy you actually do. Well, one of the best owners in the fishing industry.
Nice. Let's have a relax minute.
This is you. Relax minute.
You don't have it open, do you?
No.
You weren't even ready. I just threw them.
Position limit is 1.
That is tomorrow.
Walleye less than 20 inches or greater than 23 must be immediately released, except for one walleye 28 inches greater may be kept.
So for those of you keeping score at home, I'm going to remind you, 21 to 23 inches. Or one that you probably don't want unless it's for the wall.
Tomorrow?
Is it and or?
And that's after tomorrow. Then it's close.
Tomorrow, it's close to
Right.
Is it and or? Can you have 122 and a 28?
One.
No, only one.
You have a choice. An eater or a mounter.
And it's not even, like, it's still pretty big for an eater. I mean,
a couple of years ago, and the bass guys kept on going across the stage. Oh, man, if this was the walleye tournament, I'd have won this thing. DNR, you can see him off to the side talking to these guys, and pretty soon nobody else mentioned catching walleyes. Wow. You gotta rewatch it. It was a one on Mille a couple years ago.
Oh, no, okay. I missed that part.
That was the bass, the BASS. It was their last Angler of the Year shootout.
Is that what it was? There was something special. I don't know what series it was.
It was their Angler of the Year. I think it was the top 25.
Because Fighter was in the mix there, wasn't he? And he's from up there?
Yeah, he's from up there. They were catching. I mean, Mille is a heck of smallmouth.
Oh. I mean, musky walleye and bass, it's an absolute diamond.
It is.
So here's the question, though. Is there too much regulation on it?
Oh,
do too many of those fish dive over?
How do you know? I mean, there's just...
You can't have intense regulation on what you can keep and then allow the netting to happen at the same time. And that's not that's just purely biological.
Right.
There's no redundancy to it.
Right. I don't know.
He does have a biology
degree. Zoology.
Oh, zoology. The one who can hang around us apes.
So are we going to talk zebras and elephants, or?
It's zoology. There must be a difference in that. I didn't use it anyway.
There's no worries. So what's cooking on the stone?
What's the stone? I used it all weekend.
What'd you make?
Oh, we made breakfast on it.
That's a given.
Made hamburgers.
That's a given.
Made shrimp.
Ooh. On the skewers?
No, I did them free.
You free did them. You know, I found when you throw them on the skewers, you have like one that's fat, or two that's fat with the skinny one in between, and it doesn't fully cook.
Oh, no.
You know, so the other two get cooked, and the other one's just elevated.
See, and that's why I like to individually flip them.
I get it.
I get all hibachi.
Yep.
Flipping them one at a time.
Flipping them one at a time, and just some garlic butter from Sam's Club.
Oh yeah, I've used that.
They have their own garlic butter. I've been making my own.
It's infused, but then I throw some regular garlic on there.
Okay.
Dan's has one of those too.
Yeah.
Garlic butter.
I like to do a garlic press with like 2 cloves into my butter and then brush it over my shrimp.
We did Frank's sauce and butter. Made some buffalo shrimp.
I did.
Not gonna lie, that's delicious.
Frank's and Dot's pretzel infused.
Ooh.
Walleye on the stone last year. 2 years? No, that was last year when I had COVID. So I couldn't taste anything. But I went out that fishing that day and I caught a bunch of walleye. And kids were gone. Wife came home from work. I had red hot walleye.
Nice.
She said it was so hot. She couldn't finish the first piece. I couldn't taste a single thing. So I just rifled it down.
Here's the one thing I want to try, and I've only been able to do it on cast iron. I like to try blackened walleye in a Blackstone.
Oh, I don't see why you couldn't.
Because that should be able, if you leave it on high, let that sucker heat up, that should get up to the point where it blackens that fish.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course it will. Wouldn't it? It'd have to, especially if you season it right.
Yeah. You ever done blackened walleye?
No.
We did
I've had blackened fish, but not walleye.
We did blackened walleye one year up at Indian Hills when we were camping up there. One of the best walleyes I've ever had. Period.
We'll give that a shot next time.
Walleye's good. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Blackening season.
Yep.
Just some butter and it was delicious.
Nice.
Did you use the stone this weekend? It is Memorial.
It is, and yes, I did use the stone. Started with scallops and shrimp. Started for that, and then
I recommended that to you.
Yeah, that was a good idea. No, I just love scallops, and I've had hibachi scallops are great. It's the same thing essentially. So, and I would lie if I didn't say I have noticed how the hibachi chefs do their scallops. So I pretty much copied it.
Well, you spent enough time there.
I told you I'm putting their kids through college.
We know burgers are great. You done fajitas yet?
No, but it's funny you mention it because I was at Costco and they had shredded rotisserie chicken meat, and I was gonna do just a quick heat up, saucy.
But even the peppers and onions, the way they cook together,
they're so awesome.
Oh,
when my wife was pregnant, both times, she couldn't stand the smell of meat getting cooked. I mean, Colby's would have been proud of me in the garage. I cooked everything out there just so she wouldn't have to smell anything. Ladies, if you're pregnant, get your boys a Blackstone. Best advice I can tell you.
Yep, it beats cooking on an electric.
You don't have to cook anymore or do the dishes because I go through a ton of dishes if I cook inside.
Yeah.
Let them go to the garage. Cook outside, one surface. Clean it with a water bottle.
So here's the other question: guys are starting to have multiple Blackstones.
I don't see that as a necessary deal, I guess.
But I know guys that have one for their camper and one for their house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They have the smaller.
I'm actually that guy. I'm going to bring my Blackstone up there and leave it up at the resort for the summer. But I may get like a 2-burner, like a smaller one.
I got a 28 inch.
A bunch of 28 inches.
I got a 28 inch, and that's all.
Is that 2 or 3 burners?
2.
2.
And it's big enough. Like your big one, I don't know. Would you turn on the other 2 that you have options?
But I do
Do you have a big one too?
Yeah, I have the 36. Between my father-in-law's got one at the lake, I got one at home. I mean, I did 4 pounds of bacon and sausage and
and maybe because it's just
20 pancakes and
2 very small children. It's not a lot of food on it.
Yeah.
I'll have to upgrade as
gotta love the stone. Gotta love this stone.
You do.
Eventually, he's going to eat like 9 pounds of bacon.
As big as that kid is already, I feel like Greg Esslinger is going to have all of his BHS football
Chewy, if you're
accolades turned
listening,
over.
Chewy, if you're listening, we're coming after you. I coached Greg in hockey.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that was his nickname. Was Chewy.
Huge. Well, and then we got Braden Thomas.
Yep.
Also, good kid.
Yeah, good
He's
kid.
down in St. Louis camp, I think, now.
He's an NDSU guy.
Yep. For this last year.
Yeah.
But good kid.
Yeah. Luke Little signed with the Bears.
Yes.
He's a local kid.
Oh, and then Animus, what's his name?
Colt.
No.
Oh,
There's the C.
I know what you're talking about.
We're never going to get a sponsor.
The lineman?
Yeah.
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 And he had his brother that was pretty good too, but then he made it as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember who he's with.
Yeah, I don't remember. And then there was I forgot his name too, a lineman from UND that made it too.
Oh, nice. Nice to see the second class citizens get back up.
Yeah. Yeah, how many guys got their name on the cup compared to how many NJC guys got their name on the Lombardi? We'll just go.
It's always our argument. I went to school there one year. I loved my time there. That's why I had to leave.
Oh, dude, I hung out with my nephew and his roommate, and I know why both of them were on the 7-year plan. Just by the stories. They lived in a house, the first house off of campus. So campus cops didn't have regulation there. City did, but I mean, they had. Let's just put it this way. I'll just use the word slippy cup. They invented slip and slide tippy cup.
Nice.
And I think their videos,
which is good for like 4 weeks out of the year at Kids College because it's cold otherwise.
No. 2 at Grand Forks.
I am so glad they learned a lot at college. What was his degree?
Well, the kid that owned it, he's got a law degree. My nephew's got an engineering degree.
Okay. So they both did well. They're doing fine.
And there's 2 nurses and a doctor that came out of there. There's a lot of
lots of people go to school for years.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're called doctors.
Well, hey, they enjoyed it, and it was kind of fun to hear the stories.
Oh, it's nuts
of what they did, because they took, we talked about beer darts, and they took that to a whole new level.
Well, just where I get it, my buddies owned the house. It was a red light district. It was a red light on the porch. So whenever they had a party, they just turned it on. Like, here's a beacon for the cops right here.
Oh, jeez.
But it never got busted. Like one time, and they let us go.
Well, let's be honest.
I mean, there's a reason why we got away with so much stuff, because I think it was almost allowed.
Happy Harry's is a huge liquor chain in eastern North Dakota now.
Oh, yeah.
Was built on selling to underage.
I don't want to get into accusations. Because I neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah. But Sioux players that were arrested outside Judy's. Don't know their names. They got off because
they had their jumpsuits on.
No, it's because somebody opened up the cop door so they could run.
I miss college. Sometimes. I'm Chris Husted.
I'm Jason Renner.
This was Revere Gear Radio.
Thanks for tuning in to Review Your Gear Radio. Be sure to tune in next episode, and don't forget to check out reviewyourgear.com. Also check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Till next time, tight lines and good times in the outdoors.